So as Chantel said, my name's Darren Hibner, and I am the manager of regulatory or grants and regulatory engagement at SLGA. And I have Joe Harvey with me, and she's the manager of regulatory customer service. So I'll get right into the presentation. I'm going to start things off, and then Joe will end things for us. Just start with the charitable gaming side of things. So I'm going to share my screen. So we'll just make sure everyone can see that. So are you guys able to see the presentation? Okay, sounds great. Okay, so again, thank you all for being here. So there is Tracy Carmichael's information on here as well. She was supposed to present with us tonight, but unfortunately is unable to tonight now. So she is the manager of charitable gaming. So we will get right into things. So in tonight's agenda is we're going to go over charitable gaming. We're going to discuss some online financial reporting and the charitable gaming grant program. We're going to then stop for a charitable gaming question period. As Chantel alluded to, though, you can stop us at any time, just in the chat or raising your hand, and we'll answer those questions too. Then we're going to go on to special occasion permits, which Joe's going to handle for us, and then we'll get into a question period for any special occasion permits as well. So in regards to charitable gaming, so we're going to start with charitable gaming applications. So for who is eligible for a charitable gaming license, so any charitable organization or religious organization may apply for a license when the proceeds that they're raising are for the group's charitable purpose. And additionally, if you're looking for any other eligibility information, this can be found on the website, at our website at slga.com. And it'll within the charitable gaming policy and procedure manual. So there are 3 elements that are required for when a charitable gaming license is required, and those 3 elements are chance, consideration, and prize. So all 3 of those elements must be present for that to occur, for a license to be required. And so in the fundraising that you're doing, the revenue can be used for it's supposed to be used for the charitable or religious organization's objects or purpose. Okay. And just so you know, in the use of gaming proceeds, this must be approved by SLGA. And this is more in specifically talking to large raffles and regular raffles. That's kind of where those need to be approved. And so when you're applying for a license, there's some information that is required, that we do require, and it's just to substantiate that your organization actually is charitable. So some of the documents include articles of incorporation, your constitution, any bylaws you have, minutes from your formation meeting, your current financial statements as well. So when a new charitable organization applies for a gaming license, they must be in existence for 6 months and have active operating programs or services. If there is an existing organization if you're an existing organization that has previously submitted documents, you don't need to provide these documentation unless something has changed within your organization or the documents that have been updated that we do require. Next, we'll go on to the online gaming application. So you can apply online at slga.com. So we'd log on to slga.com. We click on the sign in and register that's in the top right-hand corner of the website. So this applies to not only gaming licenses, but this will apply to special occasion permits as well. And so you can click on the register if this is your first time applying for a license. And when you're setting up that account, just to let you know, sorry, I went too far there, that you do need to set up the account as an individual and not as an organization. Okay, so just note that. So you'll click on that register, you're going to enter your name, your email address, and any password information. So just as highlighted here in the screenshot that we have. and you'll click on the register button once you've filled out all that information, and then you'll receive a message advising that a confirmation email has been sent. And from there, you can open that confirmation email and click on the confirm registration, and then you'll just get a notification that that registration has been complete. So then you can, from there, you can log back into your account, and then you can apply for your gaming license or your special occasion permit from there. And there's a little screenshot for you guys to show where on the website you would click to apply now, and that's for permits and licenses as well. So if you do need any additional assistance when you're applying for a charitable gaming license, you can reach out to the charitable gaming branch. So this would be Tracy's area. So they have the charitable inquiries email, as well as the 1-800 number. If you call the 1-800 number, we'll just ask that you ask for a charitable gaming licensing specialist, and they'd be able to assist you with that. So currently, if you're wondering how long it would take to get your license, so our processing times for raffles with a prize value of 2,500 or less is a 7 to 10 business day, is approximately 7 to 10 business days. And if we're running a raffle that's a prize value greater than 2,500, we're at approximately a 30 business day turnaround time. And that is just because those larger and regular raffles, they do require quite a bit more information. So that's why it just takes a little bit of extra time to get those ones completed and issued. In regards to the large and regular raffles, a rules of play is required when you're running these raffles. So you do have to establish a rules of play, and the reason for that is that the rules of play are there to govern the conduct of the raffle, and it ensures that all purchasers clearly understand the rules of the game that is being played. So whether that is, 50-50, outlines how the prize is going to be breaking down. Is it 50-50 of gross profit proceeds, or is it net proceeds? Just so they're aware of that, those kind of things. And the minimum requirements can be found in the raffle terms and conditions for those rules of play. And that can also, again, be found on our website.
Darren?
Yes.
Sorry, question from the chat.
Okay.
What is the time frame for renewal licenses? Oh, and looks like Joe's answered in here. So Joe has stated no raffles are considered renewals. SLGA, they're all new. So for each individual year, even if you're doing it year after year, you do need to reapply for the same is what my impression is of that response.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely, Joe is correct. There's no raffles are considered a renewal. We don't have a renewal process. It is definitely a new raffle every single time. So. So in your rules of play, you're going to have information. This requires information such as any age limit for the purchase of tickets. If members of the organization can purchase tickets, that again, it's organization's decision for that. They can decide whether they want to allow that or not. Any restrictions to winning the prize. So for example, there's the trip of the month. So there could be restrictions as to when that trip must be claimed and taken. The exact location of the draw is required in the rules of play. The order of prizes will be awarded. So if you have 3 or 4 prizes, you want to outline the first ticket drawn. Well, they'll win the 5th prize or the first place prize, those kind of things. It will also need whether or not the winning tickets will be returned to the draw and eligible for the other prizes. If there's going to be any cash alternatives for any prizes being offered, so again, such as those trip of the months, you'll have a trip of the month that you offer, and maybe if they don't want to take the trip, they can take 75% to cash alternative. We also require a draft copy of the raffle ticket in there, and any advertising related to the raffle. So that's also something that SLGA requires. So if you're looking for more information on the rules of play, detailed info can be found on page 8 of the raffle terms and conditions for the over 2,500. So that's your, and when we say over 2,500, that is prize value. That's not like your sales or anything like that. We're talking about the value of the prizes, retail value. So it's a little screenshot of it, and again, kind of highlighted that the terms and conditions can be found on our website. Next, we'll talk about record keeping. So record keeping is very important. It comes into play, especially when we talk about like the charitable gaming grant program. So if you're running a regular or a large raffle, so those over 2,500, you are required to have a designated lottery bank account. And that lottery bank account is restricted to only include proceeds earned through charitable gaming fundraising. So within your bank account, you're going to see that game bank account, you should see revenue from ticket sales, and then any expenses that you have. So that's payment or purchases of prizes, any other raffle gaming related expenses, and also then your approved use of proceeds items. So whatever you're using those proceeds for that have been approved by SLGA. No further funds, just, no further funds can be deposited into your lottery bank account. And this includes the charitable gaming grant program payment and any other non-gaming fundraising revenue. So if you're at an event and you're hosting an event and you have donations that come in, we got to make sure that those are separated and deposited into your general account and they don't go into the lottery bank account.
Sorry, Darren, I actually have a question in regards to
Sure.
that last page.
Yeah.
So the grant amount that we get back,
Yep.
that's what you're talking about, right? Like after we're done the raffle and we get that check back,
Yeah.
that would be the charitable gaming grant program payment.
Yeah.
And that would not go into the gaming account. It would go into another one of our accounts. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it can go into your general account. That's fine. It's the charitable gaming grant program payment is not lottery fundraising. It's a grant that the government provides, so it doesn't need to go into that lottery account. So it
Okay.
can be used for, so like when we talk about use of proceeds for the for your gaming activity, that does have to be approved by SLGA. The proceeds that you use from the charitable gaming grant program, that isn't required for approval from SLGA. So that grant, it is to be used for your guys's purpose and object, but it doesn't require approval from SLGA for what you're going to use those funds for.
Okay. We have another question in the chat asking, what is the process when prizes are donated?
So when prizes are donated, so we do like to say, especially like I manage the charitable gaming grant program, so the donated prizes are the best way, because in terms of the grant, they're not any, you're going to have it'll be on some of the later slides, but it talks into regards to revenue and then less, cost of prizes or expenses. So donated prizes do not count as a cost of prize. The only catch with that is if someone was donating cash to your organization, that donation is considered a cost of prize, because we view it as someone made a cash donation to your organization and you chose to turn around and use that cash to then have a raffle or have run a raffle to try to make that money grow. So, but if you're getting merchandise donated or like say gift certificates, those do not account as expenses. So donated prizes are good because it just doesn't take away from the profits that you're making.
But you would use it at the face value of whatever was donated for the cost of your prize. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct. So retail value of the prize is the prize value. It doesn't mean it's not necessarily what you paid for it. So if you have for example, we have there's WestJet does donations of their trip. So if that's their prize trip is worth say $4,000, but it's donated, it's retail value of $4,000, but the cost to the organization is zero. All right. We will keep going on. So you are required to maintain a ledger with your lottery bank account, and it just allows to make sure that we're accurately reporting all the transactions that are occurring with the account, and all for regulars and larges. All raffle files, all documentation must be kept for a period of 3 years. If your organization has more than one license, we want to make sure that all the deposits are done and expenses are paid separately. So you can use the same lottery bank account, but just make sure that those deposits and those expenses are paid separately. It just allows to us to ensure that we can verify the proceeds of the raffle or the expenses of the raffle. So next if there's no other questions yet, we'll talk about the Charitable Gaming Grant Program. And so it starts with the online financial reporting. So there's really no application per se for the Charitable Gaming Grant Program. Actually filing your financial report after your raffle has been completed is the application. It automatically will create that application for us. So the organization, you can complete your financial reports online.
Darren?
Yes.
Sorry, I apologize. Before you go further, we do have a question from the previous slide that just popped up. Where can I find the documentation for the 3-year time frame?
That'll be in the raffle term. That'll be in the terms and conditions. That the raffle terms and conditions will state that you must maintain all of your records for a period of 3 years. Okay. Okay, we'll move on. So once you've logged on, each individual has a dashboard which will contain all of the charitable gaming license that you're the contact for. And in here you can enter the license's financial results. This will include ticket sales commence date, the final draw date, the quantity of tickets sold at each price point, the prize value and cost of all the awarded prizes, as well as any gaming expenses incurred. So that may be ticket printing, the license application fee, if you have any 50/50 or advertising, any other costs that are gaming related. When you're submitting your financial report, you can also attach any additional information or such as any supporting document. So to make the process easier for the charitable grant analysts, the more information that you provide, the better. So whether that's even bank statements, the winners lists need to be provided, invoices for any of the prizes that you purchased. So it's great to submit that supporting documentation because it may be asked for anyways. So so you can include that as well. So a copy of invoices and those bank statements. And so there's just a screenshot for you that'll show where on the website you can choose to upload when you're completing that online financial reporting.
Darren, another question.
Yeah, for sure.
Why does the license application ask for what we are using the funds for? For example, if we are giving funds for a scholarship, they want to know about the process on how the scholarships are chosen. What are the particular requirements for non-financial reporting? Well, that's 2 different questions. Sorry.
It's all good. I don't want to answer again. This use of proceeds is more Tracy's area, so I don't want to answer that wrong. But yeah, they wanted it all of those use of proceeds do need to be approved by SLGA, and it's just my understanding is it's just more to make sure we're determining that the use of proceeds fits and meets the criminal code, all of that in regards to that. Joe, do you have a little bit more insight?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me first?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Particularly around the scholarships, we do evaluate them to make sure that they aren't exclusive or whatnot. We have certain guidelines that make it an allowable scholarship program. So there's certain types that we don't allow. If it's earmarked for specific people or things like that. I don't remember the exact specifics on that, but we definitely can take it back to Tracy to get the full details, but it's along those lines.
All right. And then we also have here, just to follow up from what you were saying there, Darren, in regards to the criminal code.
Yeah, so SLGA is we're the provincial body authorized to license raffles, and those raffles are licensed under it's section 2071B of the Criminal Code of Canada. So just so you know that.
And then I think what are the particular requirements for non-financial reporting?
May I get you to elaborate that, what you mean by what are the particular requirements for non-financial reporting? So I'm not fully understanding what you mean by that.
Sunny, do you want to type in the chat or turn on your mic? He's going to type in the chat.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Sure.
Oh, he says, give me a few minutes to elaborate. You can go on. So he'll pop
Sounds
in.
good.
I'll re-ask the question.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we'll continue on with some online financial proposals. So your proposed net proceeds will be calculated once all the financial information has been provided. So just a little example below is you'll have your gross revenue, for example, $5,000, the cost of prize, less the cost of prize, less expenses, and you'll get your net proceeds of the $2,447.50, and that's the amount that the net proceeds is the amount the charitable gaming grant will be calculated on. So we'll get into, so what is the charitable gaming grant? So it is a program that it provides charitable groups and organizations. We provide a grant that is equal to 25% of the net proceeds that you raise from the licensed charitable gaming activities. This is to a total maximum grant payment of $100,000, and that applies to per SLGA fiscal year, per license, and per charity. And just so you guys know, we are the only jurisdiction in Canada that has this type of grant program. So we are very protective of it. We try to make sure we're doing our due diligence. The grant analysts review a lot of financial reports and are essentially mini auditing those reports to make sure to validate that the amounts that are being reported are accurate. And so kind of as I had said before, yes. So yes, in order to be eligible for the grant, you must submit that financial report, and that financial report must be submitted within 6 months from the end of the license end date to be eligible to receive the grant. So as we kind of said earlier, how that grant is calculated, we take our ticket sales less any cost of prizes or related gaming expenses incurred to get our net proceeds, and then we take 25% of that, and that would be the grant that would be paid out.
Rodney has a question.
Sure.
You'll have to unmute yourself.
Let's try.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it's a small or large raffle. You definitely still have to submit a report. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So in order to be eligible, a financial report needs to be submitted, whether it's a bingo, a Texas Hold'em tournament. We have Monte Carlo licenses, and the smaller, regular, and large raffles.
And then the 6-month window is to just provide incentive for people to get it done sooner for the grant. Is that right?
Yeah. So we do have that cut off. Actually, like in the terms and conditions of the raffle terms and conditions, it does state that the financial report needs to be submitted within 60 days from the end of the license. We in the grant program, though, we allow up to 6 months for those to come in, unless it is the net proceeds are over $100,000. So it'll be on a little bit of future side. We'll get into a little bit more detail of that. But if you have net proceeds of over $100,000, we do require an independent third-party audit to verify the accuracy of the information that's being reported. So because there's a lot more involved, you're getting seeking out an auditor, and that takes a little bit of time. We do allow 18 months for that to be completed.
Okay, so I've actually seen both timeframes. So there is why is there a 60-day window?
So that's just in the terms and conditions. The terms and conditions, they require that 60 days. That's what they have determined in licensing, that they do require to be submitted within 60 days. However, because they developed that prior to the charitable gaming grant program being developed, and we allow up to 6 months just to have a little bit of grace period, because we understand that 2 months things happen. That's a little bit of short time to allow. So we don't want to be denying grants based off of someone getting in it in 90 days. So we do allow that a little bit of additional time to get it in. So the 6 month period is what our criteria is for that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm muted. I started talking and realized I was muted. So
Okay.
we do have some clarification of the question here in the chat. So just to refresh the question, what are the particular requirements for non-financial reporting? And then the breakdown was, when submitting our use of funds application, what steps should we take to ensure that all funding requests, including multiple and new uses of funds, are fully disclosed and compliant with SLGA requirements? During the application process, it is general, but after the fact, the requirements required are quite detailed.
Take that question offline and we will get that answered for you, Sunny, just because that is not my expertise. That is Tracy's for sure. So I will make sure that she gets an answer to Chantel, and because I don't want to answer that one incorrectly for you. So use of proceeds are definitely in licensing area. So she'll get an answer for you. But yeah, I'll take that one offline and we'll get back to you on that for sure. We will move on. So once the financial report is received, then the charitable grant analysts will complete an analysis of the license's financial results. And during their review, they may ask for additional information in order to validate. So this is, like I kind of said when we were doing that upload, they may ask for additional information such as your bank statements, your deposit slips, invoices from any expenses, a winner's list, and any other information that we deem necessary. So when you're submitting those bank statements, for one, it is the best. We do ask that the transactions specifically related to the gaming be highlighted so that we can quickly and easily identify those. And more to that helps when we're talking about small raffles, because small raffles don't require a specific lottery account. So you can use your general accounts for those. So differentiating between other revenue that's coming in your general account helps when you're submitting those bank statements. So just trying to talk with Rodney there. So yeah, so we do require audited financial statements when a single license's net proceeds exceed $100,000. So we require that you get an independent third-party opinion just to validate the accuracy of the revenues, prizes, and expenses. And we do, like I said, we do allow up to 18 months to get those audited financial statements submitted in order to remain eligible for the grant. So, as I said, the grant doesn't need to go into your lottery bank account. However, it is expected that the grant is going to be utilized for the organization's charitable purposes.
Another question coming in here. Rodney, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Could you go back a slide to the 100,000?
Yeah, for sure. You betcha.
So question for that. If you do have that an amount that you're dealing with and you have to get an independent audit, so that's just like from an accountant?
Yeah, so we do require it to be completed by a CP, a certified CPA, and they'll require to complete the audit under Canadian auditing standards. So yeah, it should be on, like I said, a certified auditor and a CPA. In regards to, is probably one question that may come up in that is that expense is if you're only getting that audit to meet our requirement for the charitable gaming grant program. That expense will not be included. You do not need to include that expense in your financial report, and it would not be considered a gaming expense because it's SLGA making that requirement that we do require you to get that. So if it's, say they charge you $2,000, you don't have, it's not, that way it's not taking away from the net proceeds of the grant because we're requesting it. If you were getting an audit just out of regular practice though on gaming, and it's then that would be included. But if it is, like I said, solely to meet our requirements, then we wouldn't include it.
So if you did have an accountant who charged $2,000, could you take that off the raffle proceeds?
I guess like if you view it as a regular course of business that you've gotten your accountant that's helping you validate everything, making sure they're looking at your books, yes, we do see those expenses and those would come off the net proceeds. Like I said, however, obviously you don't want to make sure you want your net proceeds to be as high as possible just to maximize that grant.
Right.
Said if you're only going to get that audit on that specific raffle for us, then we wouldn't include it.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah, Sonny, I do see your message here. Like I do understand that audit statements do take several months. So that's why we allow 18 months for that to be completed, is because we do understand that it's not something that's going to be done quick. So that's why we allow that. Instead of 6 months for it to be completed, we do allow 18. You got another question?
Yeah, go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to that. Actually, we had done a WestJet gift of travel raffle in conjunction with our winemakers dinner and Top of the Hops, and the winner was taking a considerable amount of time to decide what their trip would be, and it was kind of getting into that window of the 6 months, and there was some grace there that we were given. Because it was kind of out of our hands. And WestJet in their fine print said that the person technically has up to 1 year by their standards. So, but anyways, we saw some grace with that, which we appreciated.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely work with you any way we can. One thing I'll note on when you talk about those prizes that are taking longer periods of time, you can always submit, make sure you can submit the financial reports, and we would pay the grant based off of what's the highest amount that the expenses would be. And if you then came back and told us, hey, actually they picked, instead of the $2,000 trip, they only took $1,000 cash, we would review that grant again and we would make that adjustment and pay you the additional grant that you're owed. So just to note that.
Sorry, Stephanie, your hand was raised and then it disappeared. Do you have a question?
Well, it was actually going to be in conjunction to that, but I think my sister might be typing out the question because we ran into this exact situation where we were told to put the max amount, but then told that we shouldn't have done it.
Okay.
I'll let her speak to that more because she is the one that does our actual lottery licenses, though.
Sounds good. That's good. Yeah, definitely we just as she's typing, we look, we wouldn't want to overpay grant. So yeah, so Courtney, I guess how would you reach out? So there'll be information into regards to an email on charitable financial. So our email address, you can just submit it to them, or if you have had contact with a specific charitable grant analyst, definitely reach out to them. My information will be in there as well, so don't hesitate to reach out to either myself or that charitable financials email, and they'll work to get that adjusted for you so that we can pay that additional grant. In regards to using the funds before the winner has booked, again, when it comes to use of proceeds unless Joe knows the answer to that, I don't for sure. I would take that back to Tracy and she would be able to get an answer for you. Okay, we'll definitely take that one offline for you, Courtney. So, and then I'll get that answer back to Chantel, and she can get that answer for you in terms of using the funds before the winter is booked for sure. Okay, we'll move on. In regards to how long it will take to get the grant payment, so once the charitable grant analyst has completed their review, we do say that it'll take about 6 to 8 weeks for you, expect about 6 to 8 weeks for you to receive that grant. And the reason behind that is SLGA is the regulator and we do the review of the grant program. However, Lotteries and Gaming Saskatchewan is actually they administer the processing of all the charitable gaming grant payments. And they, just so you know, they did begin this process in July of 2023. So that's why we allow that 6 to 8 weeks, because we're just processing, we're doing the regulation and the approval, and then we issue it off to Lotteries and Gaming Saskatchewan, and they have to do their issue. They have to cut and issue the checks. And then just with the mail, it takes a little bit of time to get to everyone. So before we move on to special occasion permits, and Joe, is there any other charitable gaming questions? Rodney, I think you got your hand up.
Yeah. Question that comes to mind, what would happen to a club if they didn't submit the raffle report?
Like, next time you went to get a license, they would ask that you submit that financial report. Now, if you tried to submit it and it's been past that 6-month window, unfortunately, we would just the grant would be, you'd be denied the grant. But we do require that financial report be submitted. It's one of the requirements is that you're in good standing, and filing that financial report is part of remaining in good standing.
But if there was a situation where you found out that one wasn't submitted or whatever, and you went to go and do another application, it would probably come up of like, hey, this is outstanding.
Yeah, typically the licensing specialist should let you know that you do have an outstanding financial report.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Stephanie, you got one question?
Yeah, I just had a few questions kind of in regards to the use of funds. So with the small raffles, that those use of funds don't need to be approved through SLGA, or do they?
There's no, in the application for a small raffle, there wouldn't be an approval for the specific use of proceeds. Whereas
so then
the
there's
regulars
nothing
and
kind of in
larges,
no. There's nothing in the back end that we have to do in terms of what we use the funds for. Okay.
Nothing that I'm aware of. No.
Okay. And so with that, for say that one kind of specifically in small raffles, are we able to use those funds for instead of say a charitable donation, to use it for, we do Santa for seniors where we buy the gifts for the seniors and donate them? Can we use lottery funds for something like that when it's considered a service project from our club?
I would want to make sure that I get the correct answer from Tracy's area. Just again, use of proceeds. I know it's one that's from the smalls you're talking about, but I would want to make sure, unless Joe, I know Joe might have a little bit more insight than me.
I would interject, because they don't give you a list of approved items at the get-go on a small raffle, you're still subject to the policy manual, which clearly states what types of things are eligible and what aren't. So if you're questioning what you're going to do with your money from your small raffle, it's best to check and see if the policy manual on our website states whether that's a eligible item or not. So you would have to look in there. It's a very lengthy document, but it covers pretty much everything that we've come across, at least in my last 25 years working with them. So that would be the first place to look, just to make sure.
And sorry, what was that again?
The Charitable Gaming Policy Manual.
Okay.
Yep.
That can be found
And
on our
then in
website.
terms, okay. And then in terms of the large, like, I don't want to say large, just a regular raffle, not super large. In terms of that, like, what is the like use of funds application like that they're talking about for like afterwards? So we did the kind of checkbox part when we applied. How do we go about like what do we do for submitting what we want to use that for?
So are you speaking like when you just check off charitable donations at the start and then you
Yeah.
Okay. So if they didn't ask you during
And
the
then once
application for specific details, they're not going to come back and ask you later. The grant folks might, but charitable gaming won't. The inspectors could, but if they do a financial review of your licenses, that's our gaming inspectors or investigators, they might ask you for the breakdown to validate that. But the licensing specialist
okay,
won't
so like
after they approve it.
okay, because like
Or
so in our application, like I think we checked off to like use it for a convention, and then they said like we would have to submit stuff to get that approved.
okay.
Where do we find
So
like who would we contact for that?
the Charitable Gaming Policy Manual will explain what information needs to be submitted for items like that. They would ask probably for you to confirm that only delegates going to the convention are ones that can bring back information about what they learned at the convention to other members that didn't go to the convention, things like that. And that will be spoken to in that policy manual. It can be your best friend, that manual, believe me.
I think I like have kind of looked there, and then when I reached out, I kind of got told, well, as long as it falls within like your service club mandate. And I'm like, well, we do service projects, so can we use money to put on a barbecue for low income people in our community or like something like that? And it never really got like a solid answer, I guess I would say.
You know who
Yeah,
you like? Sorry, do you know what area
Nope.
you reached out to?
I think it was the charitable gaming question, like email, the
Yeah, the
general
licensing
one.
specialist, the charitable licensing specialist, and their inquiry email, they should be able to answer all that information for you. Not like I said, that's Tracy's area, and I'll have that in the slide for you as well. But
Okay.
some unique situations, though, there isn't a generic answer because they are reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So just keep that in mind. They have certain questions that they'll be asking regardless. So
Okay, that's good to know.
thanks, Stephanie. Rodney, you got another question?
Yeah, sorry, a couple of things came to mind. Where would hockey drafts come into play for getting a charitable gaming license?
Yeah, so that would hockey drafts would fall under the under a raffle. Just depends on how much prize value you're giving away. So again, that could be a small raffle, or it could be a regular or large.
So it would be like if the cash payout was beyond 2,500, then it would become a large raffle.
It'd become if it's between over 25 but under 50, it's a regular raffle, and if it's over 50,000, then it's a large raffle.
Oh, okay. And secondly, what about auctions in a fundraising event where, let's say, somebody donates a trip for two fishing trip, and you have an auctioneer who sells it off to the highest bidder? That would be something you would have to do a license for?
No, you wouldn't have to get a license for, I don't believe you'd have to get, Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you shouldn't have to get a license for an auction because it's not, it doesn't require, that doesn't have the three elements of chance, consideration, and prize. So everyone doesn't have, the idea behind it is you buy a ticket for say $5 and everyone has the equal opportunity to win that prize. So in an
Right, yeah,
auction,
in
you're
an
kind of going to the
auction
highest
only
bidder.
the highest bidder wins the prize. So yeah, it's not a lottery.
So yeah, so that wouldn't be required to get a license.
Okay, figured so. Good, thank you.
Okay. Any other charitable gaming questions before we move on to liquor side of things and special occasion permits?
In 3 minutes.
We can push on. We shouldn't, hopefully it doesn't kick us out after the 1 hour, but it should be okay. All right. Okay, we'll move on to Joe.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having us. Are you controlling the thing there, Darren? Okay. Okay, so special occasion permits, everybody's favorite permit because it is for basically anyone selling or serving alcohol at an event. So something that is not in a restaurant, bar, tavern, or any other private place. And we do not issue permits for private residences, but we may consider permitting an outdoor event on a farm. And so one of the questions we had received was, are there different kinds of special occasion permits? So yes, there are. There are 3. There are non-sale permits, cost recovery permits, and sale permits. A little chart there shows you kind of what they're intended for. But when you're applying on the website for a permit, you don't need to know which type you need because the answers you provide will actually dictate which permit you're going to get. So basically the non-sale permits are the ones for your private family events. So your weddings, funerals, things like that. The cost recovery permit is for private family events as well. They're only eligible, or only individuals are eligible for those ones. And those are for weddings again and things like that. The sale permits are for public or private events, so anyone can obtain a sale permit. There are limits on how many you can have per year and things like that. But those are basically anytime you're selling alcohol, you need a sale permit. So we also do have annual permits available because we're speaking to a charitable organization in this presentation. That is one of the types of organizations that is eligible for an annual permit for certain circumstances. Certain things like if you have regular club meetings, you could have an annual permit for those, or for fundraising initiatives in your community, you can have an annual permit if you have a recurring event like and like a monthly community supper or something along those lines. So that is that. Next one. So here's a little bit more about the annual permits. So those 3 types of permits all have fees. Oops, sorry, can you go back one? Thank you. So the annual permits, what they allow you to do is only have to pay 1 fee as opposed to a fee per event. So if you get an annual permit, you pay $105 for 12 months of permitting. Non-annual permits are basically $105 per event. So this is the one that I kind of envisioned would be most important to your group of people. So like I said, if you have a meeting per week for a bona fide organization, you could have one of these. If there are social events, things like that. And then we also have the 20% discount. So if you apply at least 10 days or more before your event, we will take 20% off of the permit fee for you. So it's your incentive to apply early. Okay, so the next question was, can minors attend the event? So it's not just a yes answer all the way through, but for non-sale and cost recovery permits, we typically endorse those so minors may attend, because again, those are the family events such as weddings and such like that. Typically, we also do not approve minors to attend sale permitted events, thinking that those are along the lines of Craven, things like that. They may have certain areas where they can go, or they will be they'll have a beer garden separated that the youth cannot go into. And the permit holder should request valid identification to ensure the service or consumption of alcohol is limited to people who are 19 years of age or older. Obviously, we don't require that organizations have the serve it right, but it is good to at least have one person attending your event that is familiar with those rules. Next. So how do I get a special occasion permit? So you can apply online, similar to how Darren explained how you can apply for a charitable gaming license by going to slga.com and creating yourself an account. You can also visit a participating Saskatchewan liquor retailer who can submit the application for you. So if you don't want to get an account on our website, you only intend to get one permit from us, you can go to the Saskatchewan liquor retailer and they can do it for you on their POS system, like in the old days, like all of our stores used to do. So it's up to you if you want to do that. So what we recommend, though, is that you apply at least 10 days in advance to ensure we have adequate time to process your application. You will be eligible for a discount if it comes in 10 days before that event. And certain times, like events that are outdoors or in certain facilities, or the larger events with 500 or more people in attendance, do require additional information. Thus, we need more time to process those. So just keep those in mind. And once you do get your permit, where can you buy the alcohol? You can buy it at any Saskatchewan liquor retailer or any Saskatchewan craft manufacturer. And the rules that you must follow once you obtain a permit are the Alcohol and Gaming Regulation Act, 1997, the Alcohol Control Regulations, 2016, the terms and conditions applicable to your permit. The laws that apply to commercial liquor permittees also apply to holders of SOPs. So there's certain aspects in there, and those would be covered on the back of your permit. And then obviously all other federal, provincial, and municipal laws. So pretty much everything. You have to follow all the rules.
Joe, quick question.
Yeah.
Just in regards to where you can purchase your alcohol from, what if there's alcohol donated to the organization? How does that work? Or can it work?
It can work. There's specific rules, and of course you would ask me that one. Let me just pull up my handy dandy booklet here. Basically, it first off depends which permit you've ended up getting from us. That dictates what actually needs to happen, because there needs to be some checks and balances in place in terms of, like, if you have a sale permit, you have to pay a levy on the alcohol. If you have the other types, you don't, and things like that affect that. So let me just
I'm just thinking, like, Saskatchewan can have partnerships with Last Mountain Distillery as well as Great West or Great Western. So sometimes some of the clubs may receive some alcohol, like in a donation type way for the projects as well.
Yeah.
So is there like certain documentation then that you would need in regards to, depending on the license, or how would that work?
So for all special occasion permits, you need to have the receipts for the alcohol. So that is the same in a donated situation. You would have to have the alcohol, the receipts. So it gets kind of complicated, and that's why I spoke a little bit about the commercial permittee regulations that apply to SOPs, because they are bound by certain rules about donating alcohol. And so obviously special occasion permittees are bound by being the recipients of those. So I can get you the specific information. It's not just something I can quickly rattle off, because there's a bunch of variations on how it works. So I will make a note here to get you some information on that specifically. Break it out for the different types. That works.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, did we skip was this the one that we were on next? Yeah, okay. Sorry. Yeah, go back there. Okay. So what if we were working the bar at someone else's event? So whose name is on the permit? So normally the host of the event is whose name should appear on the permit. But if you as a bona fide organization are providing the bar service for someone else's event, they can contract you as a bona fide organization being contracted to provide alcohol service. So when that occurs, the permit would be in the name of the organization, the bona fide organization that is providing the alcohol service. So the event host may provide you with compensation for offering those beverage alcohol services. You do have to have the consent of the event host. We recommend you have it in writing. And all revenue from alcohol sales must be retained by the bona fide organization. So if your organization is being the bona fide organization that's providing this alcohol service, you have to retain all the alcohol sale revenue. And we actually may request documentation to confirm the revenue after the event. I just have one question here. So
Yep.
Courtney's asking, can a member of our club get the liquor permit if they are not in attendance at the event? So we ask for two people's names on the application form, the primary contact and an alternate. So we require that one of those two be there. We recommend the person that's going to be there be the one whose name goes on the permit, but we understand things change as well. So we require that at least one or the other is there. Okay, and then so there was some question about liability. So when a bona fide organization holds the permit, they're responsible for all requirements of said permit. So that in that case, we ask that they have an agreement. Obviously, if you're contracting someone, you typically have an agreement showing who's responsible for what. But if your organization has their name on that permit, that's who's held responsible at the end of the day. So that next there. Any other questions?
Any?
Hey,
Ron?
I have a serve it right question. There's two levels of serve it right. The one where if I'm like a bartender at Prairieland Park and I'm getting a wage, I have to have the enhanced training,
Yep.
which I believe expires every 5 years. But there's a secondary training for volunteers. So I know you had mentioned that it isn't a steadfast requirement, but it's suggested that there is serve it right training at that volunteer level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with that, does that mean that it's recommended that a person, so if we're holding a bar for a Telemiracle event, it's recommended that at least one of our bartenders has that lower level of training and is on site?
We won't go there and say you have to have someone on site have it. I just personally recommend it because I feel that it's important that someone have, that extra piece of information that they can offer to you through that training. So
Right.
yeah, like we've gone through and we've reviewed that training course that they do offer for volunteers, and apparently it was free, and now it isn't. But we do still find that there's a lot of valuable information within that that people can learn from. So I personally would recommend it. Yeah.
I would totally agree. Actually, my former club, I took the enhanced training, and then we just said as a club for anybody who's working a bar, take the lower level volunteer training. I mean, it's I would recommend all clubs do that, just because I think it's a good risk management piece too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
This has been very good, by the way. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm asking so many questions.
Nope. That's what we're here for. We want them.
That's what we're here for. Chantel has a question. Explain more about the revenue from working a bar. Did I understand correctly that you stated we as a club would need to obtain the proceeds? So if you are being hired as the contracted bar service, then you would retain the proceeds. So that's the whole intention behind that policy, allowing bona fide organizations. You can't take me out of charitable gaming. I was in there for too long, obviously. I can't get that out of my head. So sorry, we require that the organization who holds the permit retains the proceeds. That answers your question. If not, let me know.
Do we have any other questions? I know there is one question that Chantel had sent me prior that I do have a couple slides for, but if there's any other questions before we get to those. Okay, move on. Joe will speak to the first part of it because it's Joe's world. So
Joe's world. Yes. So we actually, ironically, have two completely different answers for your question about border cities. So charitable gaming has recognized border cities longer than special occasion permit people have. So how selling raffle tickets or serving alcohol differ for border cities? Can we sell the tickets anywhere? Are licenses based off geographical location for liquor license? So first I'll answer the special occasion and commercial liquor permit piece because it's a shorter answer. But because we issue all liquor permits based on the location, they have to be in Saskatchewan. So for in Lloydminster, that means that it's the portion of the city on or east of the 4th Meridian or 50th Street. And then with the Creighton Flin Flon border communities, Creighton properties are eligible for liquor permits. Flin Flon, Saskatchewan properties only. And then all of our special occasion permits, the times are listed in Central Standard Time. And for special occasion permits, we do not require the Saskatchewan residents or entities to be the applicant or the contact person. So then to flip that over, for the raffles or any charitable gaming, they have a lot more rules, as you can see. They do require the lottery chairperson be a Saskatchewan resident, and all the records must be retained in Saskatchewan. But the lottery bank accounts can be opened at any financial institution within the designated border communities, so anywhere within Lloydminster, Creighton, or Flin Flon. And licenses may be approved even if the official physical address of the organization is in Alberta or Manitoba. So if there's a Flin Flon kin club, they could apply for a raffle license in Saskatchewan, providing that they have members from Saskatchewan in their club. So the lottery proceeds must be primarily for the benefit of the residents of the border communities. And then if there's special community projects, that they'll take that into consideration as well. And so then they go into speaking about charities residing in Flin Flon will be considered for bingo, break open, Monte Carlo, or Texas Hold'em if the facility hosting the event is in Saskatchewan. And then raffles kind of have a different take. They actually recommend that Flin Flon obtain licensing from Manitoba for raffles. They will give Flin Flon organizations that get a raffle license in Manitoba the ability to sell their tickets in Creighton. And then with advertising, that is restricted to media locations within Saskatchewan. They may consider some exceptions for like radio stations in Flin Flon to broadcast it, or Lloydminster, Alberta to broadcast, but that's on a kind of case-by-case basis.
So for clarification, like I myself live in Lloydminster. So when we get tickets in Lloydminster, or even like my club is within Maidstone, but I'm selling raffle tickets. Is it okay for me to sell raffle tickets on the Alberta side of Lloydminster?
Yes, we consider Lloydminster to be within Saskatchewan, all of it, for charitable gaming only.
Okay, no, and that's kind of the differences that we wanted to do. So thank you.
Yeah.
Rodney?
Yeah, actually, I just thought another question too. So in this digital world, whether it be for special occasion permit or a raffle license, does a person still need a physical printed copy on premises, or can a person have that as a PDF on their device?
Well, for special occasion permits, our inspectors still want the printed copy.
For
And it
if you're
actually
hosting,
says
if you're
that
having a
right
raffle, yeah, and for a raffle, that license needs to be present as well. It needs to be posted. So when you're having your event.
So if you had an iPad set up and it was always on and it had the PDF showing, would that be acceptable?
I don't want to say yes or no because I don't know what the inspector would say, but I believe it's a posted copy is only, but I'm not sure. Joe, do you know?
I was told it has to be printed, so we can take that back and confirm that in both respects, because they are different sets of inspectors / investigators that look at them. So
Yeah.
we can definitely get that information.
Yeah, and I'm purely curious out of the rationale, because like in the digital age, like it could call, like in 2 seconds, call up a raffle permit on a phone or on a device. But just curious if you see any changes in that, just because it's
I
readily
think because they're
available.
easier to manipulate as digital versions, that would just be my speculation.
Oh, okay, I see. As opposed to print a copy.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, granted, you could still manipulate it and print it out as well, but
True
it's
enough.
just more difficult. So
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
We have any other questions? Okay. If you don't have any other questions, so on the slideshow, we'll have some contact information. Tracy, she's not in there. She wasn't here, but we'll provide your information for her, as well as the charitable gaming license inquiry information. So that's your charitable gaming licensing specialists. They'd be able to provide all of those use of proceeds and licensing questions in regards to the charitable gaming grants program. That's myself, as well as we have a charitable financials email that you can reach out to discuss anything in regards to the charitable gaming grant. And for special occasion permits, we have Joe's information, and then she has her inquiry line that her CSAs, client service agents, associates, they would be able to assist with answering any questions on that. So thank you for having us. We really appreciate you guys reaching out and wanting to have this session with us. The more education we can get out, the better, and that's what we're here for. So we do want to educate and provide all the information we can. So we really appreciate you guys having this, especially it is December 15th, so we do understand that we're getting to the busy Christmas season. The holiday seasons are upon us, so thank you for taking time out of your Monday evenings to attend this. It is appreciated. And thank you, Chantel, for organizing this. Appreciate you working with me to get this organized.
Yes, and definitely I see a lot of thanks coming out in the chat. Thank you so much for taking your Monday evening in December 15th as well to spend this time with us. And there's a lot of information shared, a lot of questions answered, which is great. And if you guys have any other questions that you would like to forward through, please feel free to contact Darren or Joe or Tracy directly, or you can also send them off to me and I can push them forward as well. So thank you again very much for joining us today and for this amazing presentation. We're incredibly grateful, and hopefully we all take some very useful information from tonight.
Thank you, and guys. I will stop the recording, and Chantel, I'll make sure that I get that information to you as well. So
perfect.
So thank you, and I hope everyone